All right, let's jump right into this explainer on what is, quite frankly, one of the most monumental moments in recent sports history, the appointment of Jürgen Klopp as Germany's new national team manager. Now, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill coaching change. This is a decision that could literally rewrite the future of an entire footballing nation. For years now, Germany has been stuck in this cycle of disappointment, and so they've turned to the charismatic leader who famously transformed Liverpool. But as we're going to see today, the stakes here for both Klopp and the country are absolutely massive.
But right out of the gate, we're hit with this incredible complication. Before he even blew the whistle on his single training session, Klopp made international headlines for something totally unrelated to tactics. He issued this rock-solid privacy ultimatum, reportedly warning that he'd actually walk away from the job if the media invaded his family's privacy. I mean, think about that. Why would a manager finally achieve his absolute dream job only to immediately hint at packing his bags? Honestly, the answer tells us everything we need to know about the crushing, relentless pressure of modern football and the staggering expectations that are now resting squarely on Klopp's shoulders.
To truly understand why this hire is so critical, we need to dive into Section 1, Germany's fall from dominance and how a nation is losing its footballing identity.
You know, for decades, Germany was the textbook definition of consistency. They were disciplined, efficient, mentally unbreakable. And all of that peaked in 2014 when they hoisted the World Cup in Brazil. But instead of kicking off a new golden era, 2014 actually marked the beginning of an incredibly steep drop. They went from being the undisputed kings of world football to suffering back-to-back humiliating group stage exits in 2018 and 2022, crashing out against teams like South Korea and Japan. That terrifying aura, that fear factor that always surrounded the German national team, it just completely vanished.
So coaching changes came and went, right? But the core problems just wouldn't budge. The reality became crystal clear. The German Football Association needed way more than a tactical adjustment. It needed someone capable of rebuilding belief itself. Germany didn't just need a guy with a fancy new playbook. Their confidence had completely evaporated, the fans were fed up, they needed a full-blown psychological overhaul to remember who they were. Basically, they needed Jürgen Klopp. Let's move into Section 2, the Klopp Revolution, and see how he built a career out of turning underdogs into champions.
Klopp didn't become a legend by inheriting ready-made billion-dollar champion squads. No, he became a legend by turning ordinary teams into absolute powerhouses. The whole thing really started at Mainz 05, a club with pretty modest expectations. There, he developed his defining philosophy, Gegenpressing. The idea is simple but brutal. Instead of waiting for the opponent to make a mistake, his teams force those mistakes. You lose the ball, you win it back immediately, and you attack before the defense can even figure out what's happening. This hyper-aggressive system is what earned Mainz their first ever top division promotion.
But actually pulling off gegenpressing, it's absolutely exhausting. It demands relentless energy, immediate pressure, incredible physical fitness, ironclad discipline, and above all else, collective trust. Everyone defends, everyone attacks. There are zero shortcuts here. It's a remarkably difficult system to implement, but when it clicks, man, it completely overwhelms even the strongest, most well-funded opponents out there.
So he takes this exact underdog philosophy to Borussia Dortmund in 2008. At the time, there was absolutely no way they could compete financially with the massive war chest of Bayern Munich. So instead of trying to buy expensive superstars, Klopp went into the lab. He meticulously developed talented youth. We're talking about players like Mario Götze, Mats Hummels, Robert Lewandowski, and Marco Reus. He built this fearless young squad that didn't just compete with Bayern, they dismantled them 5-2 in the 2012 Cup final and even made it all the way to the Champions League final. He proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that you didn't need the biggest budget to be the most feared team in Europe.
This reputation for engineering massive turnarounds brings us right to Section 3, Doubters into Believers, Rebuilding Liverpool's Legacy.
When Klopp arrived in 2015, Liverpool was, to put it mildly, struggling. They hadn't won a league title in over 2 decades, and the fan base was really losing hope. But during his very first interview, he made this incredible, bold promise to turn doubters into believers. Now, this day-one promise wasn't about some magic overnight fix. It was about fundamentally changing the entire culture of the club. It was about rebuilding trust from the ground up, and that starts inside the players' minds.
And the guy was just a brilliant architect. Klopp didn't just chase big names for the sake of it, he recruited strategic puzzle pieces that fit perfectly into his high-intensity system. He brought in Mohamed Salah for elite goal-scoring, Sadio Mane for that explosive pace, and Roberto Firmino, he was the selfless engine connecting the whole shebang. Then he layered in the final pieces, Virgil van Dijk for incredibly calm leadership in defense, and Alisson Becker for unshakable confidence in goal. He took Liverpool from an inconsistent, shaky squad and turned them into a complete machine, which all culminated in that spectacular 2019 Champions League victory.
But one number truly cemented his legacy forever: 30. That represents the massive 30-year league title drought that Klopp finally, mercifully ended for Liverpool in the 2019-20 season. Entire generations of fans had grown up having never seen their team as champions of England. By winning that title, Klopp definitively fulfilled his promise, literally turning an entire city of doubters into believers. He wasn't just a tactician anymore, he was a symbol of pure leadership.
But managing a club in a single city is a very different beast than managing a national team representing 80 million people. Which brings us to Section 4, the privacy ultimatum, and how Klopp is drawing the line in modern football.
To wrap our heads around his ultimatum, we just need to look at how Klopp divides his world. On one side, you have modern international football. That's his profession. It comes with intense public scrutiny, non-stop analysis of every single substitution, every defeat. He gets that, he accepts it. But on the other side, that is his family, that is his personal life. And as far as he's concerned, it must remain strictly off limits and totally protected from the media.
By reportedly throwing down the gauntlet and threatening to walk away if that line is crossed, he's sending a remarkably clear message. The mission is football, not celebrity, not tabloid gossip, not private lives. Only football. He knows from his own experience that if the intense, crazy pressure outside the game gets louder than the work happening inside the dressing room, the team's performance is going to tank. This ultimatum is basically his way of ensuring that outside noise doesn't derail the national team's focus.
And this sets the stage perfectly for Section 5, the ultimate challenge. Can Klopp restore a football giant?
We know his history, right? And we definitely know his boundaries. But here is the massive hurdle with his new job. At a club, Klopp had daily training sessions. He had months to drill his exhausting tactics into players, and he had the transfer market to just go buy guys who fit his system. National team management? Yeah, it offers exactly zero of those luxuries. He only gets these really short training camps. Every single international break is a frantic race against time, and he's strictly limited to the existing German player pool. Teaching a highly coordinated, relentless system like Gegenpressing in just a handful of days, that is an incredibly steep mountain to climb.
Now, the good news is Germany certainly isn't lacking in world-class talent. I mean, you look at players like Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, Joshua Kimmich, Antonio Rudiger, Kai Havertz. On paper, this squad can go toe-to-toe with absolutely anyone in the world. Talent has not been the problem here. The real issue is that over the last few years, the moment a match got tense, their composure and confidence just completely shattered.
And I think this reveals a really profound truth about the sport. Football is played with the feet, for sure, but championships, they are won with confidence. Ultimately, Germany didn't just hire Klopp to draw some arrows on a whiteboard. They hired a leader whose greatest historical superpower is convincing his players that they can achieve the impossible. He builds the belief first, and then he collects the trophies.
So, what do you think? Can his unique, high-octane brand of leadership actually overcome the severe time constraints of the international game? Or will the broken psychology of the German national team prove to be too heavy a lift even for Jürgen Klopp? You're definitely going to want to keep your eyes on the pitch for this one, because we are about to witness what might just be the most fascinating social experiment in football history.